Hello everybody, my name is Brianna Santos and today I will be doing my oral Portuguese report on my mom, Ana Santos. This is for my Portuguese 1B class. Okay, what is your full birth name?
My full birth name is Ana Maria de Borba.
Were you named after anyone and is there a story behind your name?
Yes, I was named after my grandma.
What was her name?
Her name was Maria Oliveira Pereira.
When were you born?
I was born on June the 29th, 1970.
And where were you born?
I was born in Tulare.
So what are some early memories that you have as a child in the Portuguese American community or in Portugal?
Well, I remember when I went back to Portugal when I was 9 years old. My mom's mom was ill in Portugal, so we had to fly back to go and visit her because she wasn't doing too well. So we went to Portugal, and I had to go with my mom because she did not speak any English. So I had to take my mom to the airport and help her to get on a plane to go to Portugal to go and see her mom. So by the time we got there, she had to be transported to the Calita, and I can go with her, so I had to go with my uncle on a boat to come across to San Juan to be there to wait for my mom to come back, because she had to come on a helicopter back to the islands to bring her back home until she got better to come back. So then I was at my grandpa's house in San Juan, and I had to wait for my other cousins to come because they were coming because my grandma was not too ill. She was ill, but
She wasn't doing well.
she was getting better, so they were coming to come and visit her. So we were at my grandpa's house there at San Juan up in the hill, and we had the old styles over there. It was no electric. We had electric, but the electric was only turned on until like 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and then it got shut off, and we had little lanterns that we were walking around the house. There was no bathrooms. We had to use a porta potty outside.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, and then we had no water. We had to go and get water in the canal, not a canal, but a little well that they had, and we had to fish water to take a bath, and we had to heat it up on a witch culinary cauldron. And we had to get firewood out in the woods to bring it in the house to heat up the water. The oven, there wasn't no oven. It was a big giant column, a little hole that my mom used to make bread out of leaves. They put big giant fig leaves, and then they put the bread on top, and they slide it in this oven and cook. And then my grandfather had cattle. We had a cattle underneath the house, and it had a little mill, and he used to grind his own corn every day or every other week. He used to grind the corn with the cattle going around in circles to grind. They had no beds. The beds were made out of corn husks compared to mattresses that we had. The ground wasn't the normal ground. It was a dirt ground that they had in their house. And they had to use the old-time antique little brooms out of sticks and twigs to sweep up their house. You know, refrigerator, we didn't have a refrigerator. It was all preserves inside the little metal containers that had their food and oil. Their chickens and meat was always fresh. We had chickens running around outside the backyard. We killed our own chickens and made food for us to eat. And, you know, that was their life.
I know you said something about your little black shoes.
Oh, yes. Well, back then, we used to have little fuffly dresses and black shoes. So one Sunday, to church, Grandpa's house was up on top of a hill. The church was always at the bottom, and then there was always a little convenience store in the corner of the churchway. And there wasn't no cars, so we had to climb downhill to go to church. So I had my shiny black patent shoes back then, my fluffy dress. Well, those patent shoes had no soles, so those roads were not normal roads. They're rocks that we had to walk down hills and up hills, so it's not like a normal road. So I was on top, and we were going to church with my godfather and cousins. Well, I kind of tumbled and went all the way down the hill on these patent shoes. So by the end of the night, I threw my shoes away because my knees were all scuffed up and my shoes were sliding on the rocks, and so I threw them away. And then after we went to church, we always got treated, and I always wanted candy. So I told my cousin there, I want some candy. Can I get some candy? Because I always loved candy. So my cousin had a little convenience store, and he told me go over there and get sausage. And I was all, what's sausage? Well, it's candy. So I went to the store, and he always gave me a little bag of candy that I picked out of the store, and I got treated for candy.
You were a member of the first generation of your family to be born in the United States. How important was it to your parents that you be raised with a strong Portuguese identity?
Yes, I am the first generation of American, and it was very important that my parents taught me a lot, because my parents, their generation, was just considered being homebodies. They went to their church, they went to their little grocery store that they knew and went all the time. They went to their own gas station that they always went. They never did anything else out of the bubble. They just continue on doing that procedure.
They did what they needed to do to live.
Yes, they did that. But then my godmother, my mom's brother, was the one that took me to like Portuguese celebration, put me involved in the Portuguese community. We went to different Portuguese festas. I was involved in the Portuguese dance because of my godmother. My godmother was really into that stuff versus my parents. My parents wasn't. They were mindset of just working and living and taking care of their kids, and that was all that they did. But my godmother was the one that took us places, took us to celebrations, and made us more involved with the community than what they had. So that's when we were in parades. I was in parades carrying flags and banners for their daughters and their kids, because my aunt and my godmother was the one that took us to that. And then I wanted to be more involved with the community of the Portuguese society was because of them. Because I like doing that and being around other people.
Very nice. So, how was this identity expressed? Was it through language? Was it through food? Was it through traditions or festas, like you were saying? How were you able to express your Portuguese identity?
How? Well, I wanted to raise my kids to enjoy doing stuff like that, because I enjoyed it a lot. So then when they wanted to be queen for Visalia in different towns, then I pushed my daughters to be into it. When we wanted to do marches, I wanted my kids to be involved the same way as I did. And then we got involved in Visalia, and then I had all my kids involved with it, and we all enjoyed it as a family doing tradition stuff for our country.
So I know that we grew up speaking Portuguese because of grandma.
We had no choice speaking, because my mom did not know how to speak any English. So all my kids had to learn to speak Portuguese because my mom did not know any English. She tried. She knew a few words, but not a lot to speak as Americans. So all my kids were raised Portuguese by my grandma. And the food and everything of their life was by Portuguese, not an American.
Of all you have accomplished, what are you most proud of, and what moments do you remember the Portuguese American community?
I'm just proud that my kids were involved the same way I like to be involved in the community society, being, whatever we need as festas, community events, marches, we enjoy doing it, and I want my kids to enjoy it too as much as I did.
What does being a Portuguese American mean to you?
My dad really shaped me a lot because in his mind we worked hard and we were never lazy. So we continue on working and working. So I put that towards what I do now. I work, I'm always working, I'm always, I don't know, I like being involved and stuff, but my parents wasn't involved, but I made myself be involved to the community. I like doing different festas or marches. I like being involved. My parents weren't involved because they didn't like that, but I like doing it.
So that's kind of like how you see the Portuguese community today. Like, I feel like in Tulare especially, we have a pretty high Portuguese community, and so just being able to be involved in that and have those different opportunities there for us to enjoy and to be a part of, and then for you and Dad to be a part of, I think that's important. That's very awesome. Well, is there anything we didn't cover today that you'd like to share?
No, I think we did play.
Okay, well, thank you.
You're welcome.